Jeremie Kubicek is a speaker and best-selling author. He is a coach and consultant activating people to change their worlds. His newest book is The Voice-Driven Leader: How to Hear, Value, and Maximize Every Voice on Your Team. Welcome back to the show, Jeremy.
George, always good to see you, man.
Yeah,
Glad to be here.
likewise, likewise. We'll refresh our memories. I know you've been here a handful of times. Tell us a little about your personal lives, more about your work, and what motivated the new book.
Yeah, for years I had just been I was tired of watching leadership go awry, and I think I figured out what leadership really is, and it's a combination of personal leadership, leading yourself, um, relational leadership, leading other people, and then professional leadership, doing your role. And I'd have all these guys tell me, "Oh, I'm a leadership junkie, man. I'm a leadership guy." And I'm like, "But why doesn't anyone want to follow you?" Because I realized they were saying I'm a professional leadership guy, like meaning I'm really good at leading meetings. I'm really good at doing reports. I'm really good at the professional side, but they didn't dive into their relational dynamics or their personal leading themselves. So my latest book is basically putting it all together. How do you lead yourself, lead others, and play your role in putting all forms of leadership to actually functionally work?
Well, that certainly makes a lot of sense that we've business schooled ourselves up and we are really adept at running concise meetings and getting everybody's feedback and input, but not necessarily seeing or connecting or really hearing or giving them the chance to have a voice.
When I wrote the five voices, the idea was that if you have a lens, you can see people through. So if I put glasses on, I can see you and go, "Oh, that's what you look like. I see." But if so, the idea then is if I know your personality and you know my personality, we're going to know each other a lot better. We're going to know our tendencies. Go, "Oh, you're a connector. Oh, you're a guardian." Guardians ask a lot of questions. That can be really annoying. But if I know you're a guardian and I have the lens, I'm like, "Oh, well, that's just how you're wired. How do I help you answer the questions you're going to ask so that you're satisfied?" Right. And so that's the idea is that the other person. That's what my work has been so far with the five voices. This next book though is, but where am I taking them? So we built a roadmap, and it's a process of development. It's onboarding. Onboarding leads to your immersion into your job. Immersion leads to your empowerment, which then leads to multiplication. So it's like old school apprenticeship. I'm going to apprentice you to help me build this wall. Watch me, I'll do it. Watch me, help me. Now I'm going to watch you and help you. And then I'm just going to watch you and applaud you. So the journey of apprenticeship, well, that's been lost in our world. And so we basically wrote a book that says, wouldn't it be great if you could know yourself, know who your people are, know where they are on the development square, and know how to get them to the next level? That's it. That's leadership. That's like old school, new school put together.
Doesn't it need to be more complicated than that, Jeremy? Shouldn't we make this a lot harder?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we did it with our kids. We have three kids, and early on, and they're all grown now, but early on, we're like, they were frustrated with my oldest daughter. My son and I were having friction. And then we realized we were just nemesis voices. My daughter, oh, she's a creative. My wife's a guardian. My wife will ask questions to death. And my daughter is kind of ambiguous. And so that was the tension point and so once they figured it out, they gave each other grace. And then they started to be more objective versus subjective frustration. Same with me and my son. So that same idea, now put it into the work context to just go, man, know who your people are, value their voice so that they can maximize their output. And that's your job as a leader if you lead people. The problem with leading people is it's hard and it's messy, and you have to make the donuts. And so what happens is all of the making of the donuts every day typically gets in the way of taking the time to figure out who people really are.
It's interesting, right? That we did go from this time of apprenticeship and we've come up with all the new innovations and all the new tech, and we've literally lost sight of all that really matters. And so it's this long journey home because who wouldn't want to do that? Who wouldn't want to be on the same page and understand?
If you're going to be with people anyway, it's like a dog. You get a dog, right? Brand new puppy. The first 6 months training, it's a lot of work to train. Well, have you ever had a puppy that you didn't train? How'd that work for you? Right.
Mhm.
And so it's like it's easier to not train them in the beginning and it's miserable later, or it's better to train them and do it hard or do it right in the beginning and then you'll love it later. So the idea then is in our world, apprenticeship has gone away because we moved into the technological era. So I can't say, hey, George, here, watch how I text this guy. Did you see that? Look how I do this email. And so in the past, it was like, watch how I build this wall. I mean, it's functional. And so the technology has made it a little harder for apprenticeship to actually happen.
Yeah, we just sort of assume that everybody knows how to do it, and we're all so busy and pulled that I don't have the patience slash tolerance slash ability to give people what they really want, need.
Yeah, well, their CV looked good. This was a good person from Indeed, so I'm assuming they already know what to do. And you know what I mean? And so we just assume. And then when they don't work out, you're like, golly, you can't find good people these days. And it's like, no, actually, you have to develop them. You have to onboard them correctly. You have to immerse them in the work. You have to get them. And there's these traps. There's a trap called the pit of despair. You have to be careful on the bottom right. And I talk about it in this book. The voice driven leader is the name of the book. And the voice driven leader is if you know who your voice is, you know who their voice is, then you can then give them. And then we've created something called Five Voices AI, created our own GPT where we took AI with the five voices. And I go, if I know who George is and I know who I am, I can ask it, okay, he's about to get to the pit of despair. How do I keep him out of that insecurity? Well, if George is a guardian and Jeremie, you're a connector, here's how you need to do it. So it gives you the practical tips. And that's the beauty of AI now is we can have it's at our fingertips. But our job is to get people from unconsciously incompetent and insecure to becoming secure and confident as employees, like trained puppies. And then there's another trap at the other end, which is called overconfident. It's called the green room. The pit of despair is insecurity. The green room is over secure. They get cocky and think they're the end all be all. So it's this fine line between getting people to be secure and confident as employees. And that's what the leader's job is to do.
And I imagine that certainly everything you just said makes sense. I can see where if we're no longer aware that such a process exists or we just don't do it, then I don't know how. As a manager, I'm not going to feel comfortable doing this. And then as the employee, I probably am not going to be comfortable speaking up and using my voice, or I'm sure
Yeah,
it's that there's disconnects probably all over the place.
leaders define culture, sub leaders define subculture. If the boss or a team leader is not willing to do it, then employees have to work around, and it makes it really. But if a boss does it, and what are we asking them to do? Know who you are, know what your personality is, know who your people are, and then appreciate and respect and understand it. Have you ever heard? I know you have the golden rule: do unto others as you'd want it done to yourself. Well, it can get misinterpreted. I don't need a hug. Why should you?
Hmm.
I didn't get training. Figure it out, right? They're like, no, that's misinterpreted. That's not what it's about. The reality is, do unto others as they would want done. Is really the golden rule. It's like So I've coached in the college athletic space in college football teams. So I had one coach I worked with who was a offensive line coach, and he was like, I've got my system. I am who I am. If they don't want to do it, then they can get on another. They can leave. Well, the problem is the transfer portal. It's like now he's having to learn because they're leaving, and he needs talent, and so now he's like, hey, uh, how do I get to know them? It's like those days are gone when it was command and control leadership. It didn't work. Um, but it's really not working now because of the fickleness of employees and turnover and all that. So the idea then is just like, well, it makes kind of common sense anyway, because if let's say I was a guardian, I make 30% of the population and this is my style. Well, I'm only going to connect with a certain percentage of people who like that style. The rest are just putting up with me. So instead, if I learn, it's like learning a language. Like I speak Russian. I used to live in Moscow. I was like, "Мой дружище, как жизнь, да? Ты понимаешь?" And if you knew Russian and I speak your language, you're going to connect because I'm speaking your language. I'm not forcing you to speak my language. And what most leaders do is they force their employees to speak their language and adapt to my rules, my style, my way, versus creating an environment to go, okay, here's our diversity on our team. We've got two creatives. We've got a nurturer, a connector, and a pioneer. And if you're the guardian as a leader and you know that's who your people are, where are they on the board? It's like a board game. Where are they on the board? Onboarding two people. I've got one person almost in the pit of despair. I got to watch him. I've got two people who are really just jamming right now, and I've got one, my all-star, who's just unconsciously competent. They're multiplying, and so you're always moving people to the next level of secure and confident, employees and leadership, and that's like the difficulty with leadership is you have to perform while leading other performers and still get your job done and then lead other people. That's why you should get paid a little bit more. But most people just want the pay, but not the responsibility.
Mm, that sounds better for sure. So does this map directly onto most organizations, or do I need to define the roadmap for my organization? You understand what I'm asking?
Yep, same roadmap for every single person in the world. It's a development square. So the same one is I'm onboarding. Now, how you onboard is going to be different in each company. So you have our onboarding might be a week. Okay. Yeah. We're at Jamba Juice or, we're at Chick-fil-A. Here's how we do the drive-through window. I mean, it's a week, you know what I mean? It's like, depending on the level of job, it could be 1 week to 6 months of onboarding a new employee, depending on how much they need to learn. Well, but what are you doing? What does your pre-onboarding look like? And what would you want if it was you? And how would you want to be? And so everyone can improve their onboarding experience. So then I'm knowing the person's voice. I'm talking to them at all times. I'm showing them where they're at on the actual square. And in this book, we lay out all these visuals. So we've got the voice driven leader, all of these visuals together. This is exactly where you're at right now. You're about to turn the corner. You were unconsciously incompetent. You're clueless and you don't know it. You're about to be aware that you don't know what you're doing. And that's okay. Everyone's there. I was there. It's all right. What I don't want for you is to fall right down into that pit of despair and get down there, and because you're not useful when you're down there. So keep watching, keep helping, keep helping. It will finally make sense. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step. Then all of a sudden you're going to make it and pivot to that empowerment stage. You're going to be consciously competent. Good job. We made it here. All right. Now don't get cocky. So let's stay out of the green room. I need you to multiply. I need you to start training other people. And now you're going to be an expert soon. So it's this process of clueless to an expert that we're looking for. And great leaders are great developers. That's really what it is. Leadership is development. And so if you can develop people and take them through that process, it's the same process in every country, every company, every role. It's just you're trying to move whatever the job is. You can become an expert in 6 months, 3 months, or 2 years. It just depends on how complex the job or the role is.
And so the promise is I get people to expert, and then they are extremely valuable to my organization, probably sticky. They're not looking around to enter the transfer portal or to go to work somewhere else. So if I understand and invest on the front end of putting this structure in place and invest during that onboarding, which is probably the highest touch, messiest time, the promise is that I'm going to get all these really super productive, happy employees later.
That's it. And they're going to they're going to function better. And it's going to be like a trained puppy. It's going to go so much better for you because you don't have to watch their back all the times. Oh, they went in that room. What are they doing? They're chewing my shoe. No, we don't chew the shoe. So you're not dealing with that for years. So anytime I hear people go, oh, I'm dealing with such and such again, I'm like, well, you didn't develop them, did you? You didn't develop them because if you're still dealing with it 2 years in, then you got to start all over. And it's not too late. You can start even if you're hearing this and like, oh, that's me. You can actually start from scratch and go, guys, we're going to do onboarding again. Here's what our values are. Here's what we do. Here's what your role is. Here's what winning looks like. You can start all over and train people. It's just harder, and it's ideally better to do it in the very beginning.
No question about that. So the pit of despair in the green room, pit of despair is I'm not getting it. I'm gonna hit the eject button, get out of here because it's just not a good fit for me. And the green
Well,
room,
and people may stay in the pit of despair because they need the work, they need the job, so they fake it till they make it. But what they do is they check in every day and they go down into the basement with a few other people that are in the pit of despair, and they look around at each other and like, how long you guys been down here? Yeah, who pushed you in? Oh, George, he's a jerk. And that's where slander and gossip and all this stuff exists. Everyone else works around those people all day, and they know they're kind of in the pit of despair. And because of the grumbling and all that stuff, it's the boss has to take the time to ideally that they never make it into the pit of despair. Because I've yet to find, and I've been doing this for over a decade of this training. I've not found anyone who's made it in the pit of despair who ever comes out and is productive ever. So if you fall in the pit of despair, the chances are you're going to get fired or you're going to leave.
so
So
we need to cover up the pit,
we need to
or
avoid it at all costs.
or or get more people in there.
So
Never.
anyway,
People have never emerged.
they don't come out. They're not
Wow.
because you got to start back all over again, and they're embarrassed. They feel incompetent already. They they just or they're just not productive. And by another round, they don't want to fall in the pit again. And if you do that, they're just so people usually are like, yeah, I think we're just going to let you either stay down there or we're going to let you go because it's not working out.
The best leader brings him into his or her office and says, Jeremie, it seems like I've made a lot of mistakes and this hasn't worked out the way we were
Yeah,
hoping to.
that's it. And you
Get
help
out of
both.
here.
Well, because if you stay in the pit of despair, every day you stay in the pit of despair, that despair leads to hopelessness and it actually creates PTSD. It creates a lot of other issues. So you're actually fighting for their highest possible good and the organization at the same time.
Yeah. And walk me through the green room. Similarly, the
The green
danger
room
of that.
is the other end. So the green room is either, so George, you're one of my best employees, right? And so I might coddle you and I'm like, hey, George, you don't need to read this. It's
Mm.
really, no, you're good. Just, you're great. So then I like entitle you. Other people see that you're my teacher's pet and you can do no wrong. And there's George, George, George. Oh my gosh, he's always, that kind of a deal. Or you could get the big head and you're like, oh yeah, did you see what I did last week? And then that cockiness, that overconfidence kind of poisons the team a little bit and creates frustration with people who might be at the immersion stage. They're still learning, or they're just, and it creates some really weird dynamics. So you want to keep your people out of the green room from you or from them, and to go, no, 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 you've learned, you're doing a good job. You're consciously competent. Now I need you to multiply. Now I need you to go take someone through the square. You're going to walk the person through and start apprenticing them. And so, and it's not just your role, it could be a new learning. It's like, George, okay, good job. You've learned this role. Now we're going to move you over here, and I want you to learn. So you're going to go through the square again, but you're going to go through a role you're playing, not like not a new job, but a new role. And like, dude, I've never done finance before. I'm in the finance department now, huh? Because they're trying to make you well rounded for the future. So it's either a job or a role. The development square helps you through the process. And what we've done, we've taken pictures, visuals, know who you are, know who they are, where are they on the map, how do you get them around to multiplication, and then how do you use AI as a tool to train off of. And that's what the voice driven leader is all about.
Nice. So it goes from onboarding to empowerment to what?
It goes from onboarding to immersion
Immersion.
to empowerment to multiplication.
Nice. And then the AI that is helping us to how is that helping us?
Yeah, so the AI basically, it already knows you and it knows them. So if you've taken the five voices, if you've gone through, then I go, hey, help me with George. How do I help George, and it already knows you're a guardian pioneer, for instance, and it knows that I'm a connector creative. So if that's the case, I go, help George is coming around from foundation to immersion. What do I need to do to make sure that he doesn't get in the pit of despair? Oh, remember with a guardian, they need detail. They want specific, blah, 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 blah. And so it's going to give me exactly what you need based on your wiring. So now I have like a coach in my pocket. And if I know where they are on the board, I can ask it specific questions. This guy's getting so close to the pit of despair. How do I keep him out? What do I need to do right now? Boom, try this. Ah, oh, that's a great idea. I never would have thought about that.
Yeah.
So that's the level of specific. It's like hyper personalization for leader development, but done for you, because a lot of people don't want to take the time to become a Jedi in something. Well, now AI literally gives you the tools. You're like, if you just know who you are and who they are, it takes care of all the rest.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing right there. Well, Jeremie, thank you so much for coming back on. Where can
Good to see you,
people
man.
where can people learn more about you? How can they engage? Where can they get their copy of The Voice Driven Leader?
Yep, voice driven leader. It'll be Barnes and Noble. It's Amazon. It comes out October 2025. And then as for me, yes, I'm super excited about it. I think this is like the most dog-eared, highlighted book we've probably ever written, because it's that functional. If you lead people, this is a pure leadership book. For me, JeremieKubicek.com. Maybe you can put that in the show notes, George, because my name is almost like Grombacher. Jeremie Kubicek, and it's spelled weird, Jeremie. And so Kubicek. And that's my speaking site. It leads to all the other sites and things that we do at Giant as well.
Excellent. Well, if you enjoyed as much as I did, show Jeremie your appreciation. Share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Pick up your copy of The Voice Driven Leader, Amazon or Barnes and Noble. Certainly put that in the links or the notes of the show, and then go to JeremieKubicek.com, spelled Jeremie Kubicek, JeremieKubicek.com. Thanks again, Jeremie.
Thanks, George. Cheers.
Till next time, remember, do your part by doing your best.